What if everything you believe about life, truth, morality, and even God had to be discovered without teachers, books, or society? No traditions, no institutions, no inherited beliefs, only your mind and the natural world. This is not a modern thought experiment. It is the foundation of one of the most profound philosophical works ever written, Hayy ibn Yaqzan, by the 12th century Andalusian philosopher Ibn Tufayl. Physician, statesman, scientist, and philosopher Ibn Tufayl lived in a time when Islamic civilization stood at the height of intellectual achievement. Yet his greatest contribution was not technical, it was existential. He asked a timeless question: can a human being discover ultimate truth through reason and experience alone? And if so, what does that say about faith, society, and knowledge itself? Today, as we struggle with information overload, ideological conflict, and spiritual uncertainty, Ibn Tufayl's insights feel startlingly modern. Let us explore 10 of his most powerful philosophical sayings and ideas, and uncover why his wisdom still matters, nearly 1,000 years later.
Truth begins when the mind observes the world without prejudice.
For Ibn Tufayl, knowledge does not begin in libraries. It begins in attention. In Hayy ibn Yaqzan, the protagonist learns anatomy by studying animals, astronomy by watching the stars, and causality by observing nature's patterns. There is no dogma, only curiosity. This idea predates the scientific method, yet mirrors it perfectly. Ibn Tufayl understood that assumptions distort truth, while observation clarifies it. In our era of opinions formed before evidence, this saying challenges us to slow down, look closely, and allow reality, not ideology, to teach us.
Reason was not given to humans to remain idle.
Ibn Tufayl viewed reason as a moral obligation. To think is not optional, it is a responsibility tied to human dignity. He rejected blind imitation, arguing that faith becomes stronger, not weaker, when reason is exercised. True belief for him is conscious, examined, and internalized. Today, this insight speaks directly to passive consumption, scrolling without thinking, believing without questioning, following without understanding. Ibn Tufayl reminds us that to abandon reason is not humility, it is neglect.
A mind left alone with nature can still arrive at truth.
This idea shocked even Ibn Tufayl's contemporaries. He suggested that human reason, properly cultivated, can uncover ethical truths, metaphysical realities, and even knowledge of God without instruction. This does not reject teachers or revelation. Instead, it asserts that truth is universal, not proprietary. In modern terms, this validates self-education, independent thinking, and intellectual courage, especially in environments where questioning is discouraged.
True philosophy does not contradict true revelation.
Ibn Tufayl firmly believed that contradiction arises from misunderstanding, not from truth itself. Revelation, he argued, speaks symbolically to the masses, while philosophy speaks analytically to the few. Both point toward the same reality, but through different languages. In a world polarized between science and religion, his view offers reconciliation. Different paths, same destination.
The soul knows God before the tongue can name him.
Here, Ibn Tufayl enters mystical territory. He believed that the deepest knowledge is felt before it is spoken. Intellectual proofs may guide us, but experiential awareness transforms us. This resonates strongly with modern discussions on consciousness, intuition, and spiritual experience, realities that cannot be fully captured by language.
people inherit beliefs before they examine them.
Ibn Tufayl recognized the invisible power of social conditioning. Culture, language, and tradition shape our worldview long before we question it. This is not inherently bad, but it becomes dangerous when never examined. In the age of algorithms and echo chambers, this warning is more relevant than ever.
Understanding that does not refine character is unfinished.
For Ibn Tufayl, knowledge without ethics is incomplete and potentially dangerous. True understanding should lead to humility, compassion, and restraint. This insight directly applies to modern debates around technology, AI, and power without moral grounding.
Understanding that does not refine character is unfinished.
For Ibn Tufayl, knowledge without ethics is incomplete and potentially dangerous. True understanding should lead to humility, compassion, and restraint. This insight directly applies to modern debates around technology, AI, and power without moral grounding.
People disagree not because truth differs, but because understanding does.
Ibn Tufayl believed truth is singular, but perception is layered. This perspective encourages intellectual humility and patience. It does not demand agreement, but it demands respect. In divided societies, this idea alone could transform dialogue.
The closer one comes to truth, the more modest one becomes.
False knowledge inflates ego. True knowledge dissolves it. Ibn Tufayl believed that genuine understanding reveals the vastness of what remains unknown, leading not to arrogance, but awe. This is the final mark of wisdom.
As we reach the end of this journey, it is worth stepping back from the ideas and looking at the man himself. Ibn Tufayl was not a philosopher who lived on the margins of society. He lived at its very center. Born in the early 12th century in Al-Andalus, Ibn Tufayl was trained as a physician, deeply versed in astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, and theology, and later rose to become a court physician and high official under the Almohad Caliph Abu Yaqub Yusuf. He moved among rulers, scholars, and jurists, yet his most profound work was not political, scientific, or medical. It was philosophical and deeply human. Rather than writing abstract treatises meant only for scholars, Ibn Tufayl chose a different path. In Hayy ibn Yaqzan, he wrapped philosophy inside a story about solitude, about discovery, about a human mind awakening to truth through observation, reason, and inner experience. This choice alone tells us something important about him. Ibn Tufayl understood that wisdom is not meant only to be argued, it is meant to be lived. In his later years, he stepped back from public life and recommended a younger thinker to succeed him as court physician, a man who would later become one of the most famous philosophers in history, Ibn Rushd Averroes. This quiet passing of responsibility reflects Ibn Tufayl's character, measured, thoughtful, and free from the hunger for legacy. He died around 1185 CE, likely in Marrakech, without controversy, without scandal, and without dramatic confrontation with authority. There was no public rupture between his philosophy and his faith, no clash between his intellect and his devotion. That, perhaps, is the most powerful statement of all. His life itself embodied the harmony he preached: reason without arrogance, faith without blindness, knowledge without domination, wisdom without noise. Ibn Tufayl reminds us that the greatest thinkers are not always the loudest, and the deepest truths are not always the most visible. In a world overwhelmed by opinions, arguments, and endless information, his legacy offers a quiet but radical invitation to observe before judging, to think before repeating, to seek truth not to win but to understand. Because real wisdom does not demand attention, it changes the person who encounters it, and that change is how truth survives across centuries. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you believe truth can be discovered through reason alone, as Ibn Tufayl suggested? Or does it require guidance from society and tradition? Share your perspective in the comments.